In late 2025, a 38-page document leaked from Washington. It wasn't a peace plan. It was an investor prospectus, pitching the ruins of Gaza as a $324 billion smart city opportunity called the Great Trust, short for Gaza Reconstitution, Economic Acceleration and Transformation. First reported by the Washington Post, it was developed by a group of Israeli businessmen led by venture capitalist Michael Eisenberg and former military intelligence officer Liran Tankman, the same team behind the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The proposal has been discussed at the White House. In late August 2025, President Trump met with former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, his son-in-law Jared Kushner, and Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer. The blueprint rejects rebuilding what existed. Instead, planners propose a total redesign centered around a massive infrastructure loop called the MBS Ring Road, named for Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, whose sovereign wealth fund would help bankroll the project. On the inner side of this ring, the proposal envisions 6 to 8 pie-slice-shaped smart cities, high-tech, self-contained hubs where every school, clinic, and apartment is designed from the ground up to be managed by a central artificial intelligence. According to the document, the geography of the past was the problem. Dense neighborhoods, it argues, bred resistance. Narrow streets made control difficult. The proposed solution is urban design as social engineering. Planners describe this grid as easier to monitor and secure. This is what we might call corporate peace, not stability achieved through political resolution, but stability achieved through architecture. Redesigning the land is only the first step. The prospectus also proposes redesigning ownership itself. Traditionally, land ownership is defined by paper deeds and generations of family history. The leaked document outlines a plan to replace this entirely with a digital record. Residents would be required to give up their ancestral land claims in exchange for digital tokens, essentially vouchers that represent a share of the territory's future value. The land itself becomes something you can trade online, like a stock. A token holder has two choices. One is the exit option. Sell your tokens on a global market to fund a new life in another country. Or stay and trade your tokens for a small apartment inside one of the AI-governed cities. Some reports suggest units as small as 323 square feet. You go from being a landowner to being a user on a platform. Your right to live somewhere is no longer guaranteed by a deed. It depends on your status in a digital system. According to the prospectus, the cities would not be managed by a traditional government, but by what it calls a chief digital office. This office would run a system that tracks every resident's access to basic services, electricity, water, and food. In this model, these aren't rights, they're transactions, managed by an algorithm. This is made possible through what engineers call a digital twin, a live simulation of the entire city running on computer servers, where every street, building, and person has a virtual copy. Thousands of sensors embedded throughout the city feed data into this simulation in real time, allowing the AI to optimize everything from energy use to traffic patterns. But the prospectus also says this system would maintain social harmony. In practice, that means artificial intelligence monitors how people move and behave, flagging anything unusual before it becomes a security concern. For the resident, the city feels effortless, but every interaction is recorded. Call it the algorithmic cage, a system where the software running the city becomes the law. If your status in the system gets revoked, your ability to buy food, take the train, or even enter your own home can be shut off with a single keystroke. And this isn't charity. The proposal is designed to pay for itself. The prospectus is explicit about the opportunity. Gaza can transform into a Mediterranean hub for manufacturing, trade, data, and tourism, benefiting from its strategic location, access to markets, resources, and a young workforce. On the ruins of the former Erez industrial zone, the document envisions an Elon Musk smart manufacturing zone. The strategy would be to use a new trade route connecting India, the Middle East, and Europe to ship raw materials from Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Workers would assemble electric vehicle batteries and cars, then export them to Europe at prices designed to undercut Chinese competition. To power these factories, the plan relies on the Gaza Marine, a natural gas field about 35 kilometers offshore that has sat untapped for decades due to political gridlock. The proposal calls for extracting that gas to run power plants, backed up by solar panels and water desalination facilities in the neighboring Sinai Desert. The trust estimates it can turn the territory into assets worth over $324 billion within a decade. The question is who captures that value and who lives inside the system that generates it. This proposal wasn't written in a vacuum. It was drafted by Israeli tech entrepreneurs with deep ties to the surveillance industry, the same ecosystem that has spent 2 decades building the infrastructure to monitor and control populations at scale. The authors, Michael Eisenberg and Liren Tankman, come from a world where this kind of technology is already operational. Tankman is a former Israeli military intelligence officer, and Eisenberg is a venture capitalist who has funded companies across the Israeli tech sector. Both helped create the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which now controls food distribution inside the territory. The same people who decide who eats are now proposing to decide who gets a home. The document doesn't name its technology partners, but one company has already positioned itself at the center of Gaza's proposed digital infrastructure, and its connections run straight to the top. Oracle, the database giant founded by Larry Ellison, has a strategic partnership with Palantir, the data analytics firm co-founded by Peter Thiel. Palantir's software is used by militaries and intelligence agencies worldwide to process massive amounts of surveillance data and identify targets. Palantir also has a deal with Israel's Ministry of Defense, explicitly to support what the company called war-related missions in Gaza. According to investigative journalists at Plus 972 magazine, Palantir's software became part of the targeting system that allowed Israeli forces to identify and strike targets at machine speed. Oracle has its own deep ties to Israel. The company operates a secure data center in Jerusalem, built specifically to serve the Israeli government's military and intelligence agencies. During the war, Oracle's CEO traveled to Israel to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, reassuring them that Oracle was here to help the government, the military, and the Israeli economy. Now, both companies appear to be positioning for what comes after the war. An investigation by Byline Times found that the leaked Gaza reconstruction framework, the same one proposing digital identities, biometric checkpoints, and AI-managed cities, closely matches the technology Oracle and Palantir already sell to governments. And the Tony Blair Institute, which helped draft that framework, has received over $300 million from Larry Ellison's charitable foundation since 2021. In late 2025, a U.S. military coordination center opened in southern Israel, just 20 kilometers from the edge of Gaza. According to documents reviewed by journalists, Palantir has a representative embedded there, working on a Pentagon program called Project Maven, a battlefield intelligence system designed to process drone footage, satellite images, and intercepted communications using artificial intelligence. The same tools used to find targets during the war are now being configured to monitor the population that remains. This is the vision being sold as peace, the architecture of war repackaged as reconstruction, built by the same companies, running on the same servers, using the same algorithms. The same capabilities being assembled for a 25-mile strip of land are already spreading into cities worldwide. The global smart city market is projected to reach $6 trillion by 2030. The question isn't whether this infrastructure is coming. The question is whether it arrives with your consent or whether it gets installed while you're looking the other way. Gaza is where the pitch meets reality, a blank slate for testing what comes next. But the architecture being designed there doesn't need a war to spread. It just needs a city willing to buy it. The proposal envisions a 10-year period of outside management, during which international trustees and corporations would control the territory's transition. At the end of that decade, the plan promises a handover to a new local government. Whether the full vision gets built remains uncertain, but as of January 2026, a transitional governance framework for Gaza has been formally announced, featuring several of the same players linked to the original document, including Tony Blair and Jared Kushner. The political architecture to make it possible is now in place. If you want to see what the future of AI-governed cities actually looks like in practice, Gaza may be the place to watch. And if you want to keep tracking where this technology goes next, subscribe for more deep dives into the future of AI.